Hi, my name is Raja. You would know about earthquakes. I mean, you sure did, right? Well, if you don't know or forgot, earthquake is a type of disaster typically happens with a movement on the ground. The movement caused a lot of destruction in its past. Earthquakes do actually have two types, tectonic and volcanic. But today, I'm gonna explain about tectonic earthquakes. I will explain the cause of the earthquake, the process, impact to people who are affected, and Earth, mitigation, and compare the disaster mitigation in Indonesia with the abroad. And finally, I'll show some earthquakes that have occurred in some places. Let's get started with the first one, the cause of the earthquakes. Now, you would question yourself, how did the tectonic earthquake happen? Well, tectonic earthquakes happen when two separate plates move, but they got stuck at the edges due to friction. When the stress on the edge of the plates so tense it overcomes the friction, that causes the ground to release the energy in waves that travels through the Earth's crust in the form of a seismic wave. That causes the ground to shake in a such of a movement fault, generally a long-term deformation to the ground. That's what the cause of the earthquakes. Now, let's get to the next one. How does an earthquake work? When you think about how earthquakes work, you would think that the ground randomly shakes itself. Well, kinda. Earthquake has its own pattern. It's called tectonic plates. Wait a second, what are tectonic plates? Good question. Tectonic plates is a compressed of an oceanic lithosphere and a thicker continental lithosphere. But back to how do earthquakes work? Basically, when the stress in the edge overcomes with the friction, the earthquake releases the energy in a seismic waves. It starts off slow and gradually becomes strong. Some earthquakes that are above a Richter scale of 7 can cause a liquefaction or worse, a tsunami. Also, large earthquakes can also cause an aftershock where they're going to continue over a period of weeks, months, or even years. Now we're done with how does earthquake work. We will move on to the next one. The impact to people who were affected and Earth. Now let's talk about the impact to people and Earth. Let's start with the people. The people who are affected by the earthquake tends to be scared because of the shock that produces by the earthquake. But sometimes they have trauma related deaths from a building collapse or other injuries. And also they were sad because they lost a house or someone that they know. For the earth, buildings that are poorly constructed or just built with inferior materials, they got destroyed or, in a better case, damaged. Another one for the earth, when the earthquake is strong enough, can cause a long-term damage or deformation to the land nearby, which causes some land to become inhabitable. Alright, with that out of the way, let's move to the next one. Mitigation and comparison with the mitigation in Indonesia with the abroad. Now, you would probably know what you're gonna do if an earthquake occurs, right? Well, if you didn't know, let me explain to you. If a earthquake occurs, try to find a hiding place. You would say that means I have to find some hiding or safe places, right? Well, not really. See, I'm gonna show you two pictures. Which one is the safe one? If you guessed the right one, well, you're right. But how? Well, as you can see in the top of the building, there is a pot plant over there. Now, obviously, that pot plant is a loose object that easily knockable and can potentially kill you. So you wouldn't be safe from that. The next one is if there's an earthquake, don't try to be panicked when the earthquake occurs. And finally, if the earthquake ends, get out from a building or a house, as they can suddenly collapse. Now that is the mitigation. Now we are moving on to the comparison of the mitigation in Indonesia with the abroad. The disaster mitigation in Indonesia has implemented a early warning system, building disaster safe infrastructure, building codes and regulations, and educating communities about disaster preparedness. Let's compare Japan. Japan is a country that sits between four tectonic plates, so they are prone to earthquakes. In Japan, they implemented the regular training and drills, more advanced early warning systems, and earthquake resistant buildings. Now, with mitigation out of the way, let's move on to the part where you guys waiting for. Examples of earthquakes that have been occurred. Our first one is the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. This earthquake occurred on 11 March 2011 at exactly 11:46 Japan Standard Time. This earthquake is a mega thrust type with a magnitude of 9.0 to 9.1. The reason why 2011 Tohoku earthquake occurred is because a thrust faulting on the subduction zone between Pacific plate and North America plates. This caused a tsunami and even a nuclear disaster in Fukushima. The next one is another megathrust earthquakes. It's called the 1964 Alaska earthquake with a large 9.2 on the Richter scale. Also known as the Good Friday, this earthquake occurred at 27 March 1964 at exactly 5:36 Alaskan Standard Time. The cause of this earthquake is the oceanic plate sinking down to the continental plate. This earthquake also caused a tsunami. Our final one is the 2010 Haiti earthquake that occurred on the 12th January 2010. This earthquake caused 220,000 people injured. The cause of this earthquake is the contractional deformation alongside the Liujian fault. Well, I hope you learned about tectonic earthquakes. Thank you for watching this video. I also hope you enjoyed this cool video. So, see you soon then.